Today, we're exploring a cornerstone of Japanese cuisine that's so much more than just a soup base. We're going to dive into the fascinating and pretty amazing world of miso. So, I've got a question for you. What ancient food do you think powered samurai warriors and was even credited as the secret to a shogun's long life? Yep, you guessed it. The answer is miso. It's a food with a history as rich and complex as its flavor, and it's woven right into the story of Japan. All right, so first things first, what exactly is miso? Let's break down the basics of this incredible ingredient. At its heart, miso is a fermented paste. The three main ingredients are soybeans, salt, and this really magical fungus called koji. When you put them together, they transform into one of the absolute fundamental flavors of Japanese cooking. Even the name tells a story. The earliest reference we have comes from a government document all the way back in the year 701. It mentions something called misho, which meant unripened paste. Over hundreds of years, misho slowly became the word we all know today, miso. Okay, now let's jump back in time a little bit, because miso wasn't always the humble staple it is today. For centuries, it was actually a symbol of power, of wealth, and even military might. This is where things get really fascinating. You see, back in the Heian period, miso was a total luxury, almost like a medicine just for the nobles. But then, in the Kamakura period, everything changed. Miso soup was invented, and it became the fuel for Japan's legendary samurai. Think about it. It was a preserved, protein-packed food that could sustain an entire army. It was a true military advantage. It actually wasn't until the Edo period that it finally made its way into the kitchens of everyday people. And you want to talk about a reputation? Look no further than Tokugawa Ieyasu, the guy who founded the shogunate that ruled Japan for over 250 years. He lived to be 75 in an era when the average person was lucky to reach 40. And what did he credit his long life to? His daily, nutrient-packed miso soup. So you're probably inspired to try it now, right? But then you get to the store and you see a dozen different kinds. It can be a little confusing. So let's decode the main varieties so you know exactly what you're looking at. Okay, so almost all miso falls into one of these three categories, and it's all defined by the type of koji that's used. As you can see, rice miso, or kome, is the one you'll see most often. Then there's barley miso, or mugi, which has a more rustic, earthy kind of taste. And finally, soybean miso, or mame. This one is intense. It's dark, deeply savory, and sometimes it's aged for years. But probably the easiest distinction you'll see on the shelf is just the color. And that really comes down to one thing: fermentation time. Red miso, or aka miso, is fermented longer, which gives it this powerful, salty, umami flavor. White miso, shiro miso, has a much shorter fermentation, making it way milder and even a little bit sweet. And why does it get darker? Well, it's because of a process you're probably already familiar with, called the Maillard reaction. And yeah, it is the exact same chemical reaction that happens when you toast a piece of bread or get that perfect sear on a steak. It creates those delicious brown colors and savory flavors. We've mentioned it a few times now, this koji. So what is this stuff that seems to be at the heart of everything? Well, this is where the real transformation, the real magic happens. The process itself is really an art form. For a traditional soybean miso, you steam soybeans and form them into balls. Then they're dusted with koji spores and kept warm. After about 3 days, the koji blooms into this fuzzy coating. That is then crushed, mixed with salt water, and left to age, developing this incredible depth of flavor over time. And you really can't overstate how important koji is. It's the engine behind not just miso, but also soy sauce, sake, and rice vinegar. It is so vital to the entire food culture that it's actually been officially declared Japan's national fungus, a title it has definitely earned. So what does this national fungus do besides create amazing flavor? Well, through fermentation, something incredible happens to the soybeans. They become a complete protein. This means miso contains all 9 of the essential amino acids our bodies can't make on their own. It's no wonder it was historically called the meat of the fields. And what's really cool is that modern science is now confirming what people like Shogun Ieyasu seem to know intuitively. Studies have linked eating miso regularly to a lower risk of certain cancers, and even a reduction in the risk of stroke and high blood pressure. It is truly a nutritional powerhouse. So we've covered the history, the science, and the amazing health benefits. Now let's get practical and talk about bringing this fantastic food into your own kitchen.
Don't worry, a few simple tips will make sure your miso stays delicious. First, keep it in the fridge, even when it's still sealed. Once you open it, press a little piece of plastic wrap directly onto the surface. That'll keep the air out. Always use a clean spoon and try to finish it within a couple of months to really enjoy its peak flavor.
From a luxury food for nobles to fuel for samurai, all the way to a scientifically backed superfood, miso has had a pretty incredible journey. Its story reminds us that some of the most powerful health secrets are hidden in our oldest traditions. It kind of leaves you wondering, what other ancient foods hold secrets that we've yet to discover?